Hey you, and welcome back to Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. This is episode 21. My name is Satchmo. Thank you guys so much for being here. I do genuinely mean that. We have DSS Alpha, we have DSS Bravo, and we have DSS Charlie, all in orbit relatively equatorially around the red planet of Duna. They are all enjoying themselves a breakfast with the sunrise. It has been 322 days for these fellas, so they are getting crammed in this little thing. Unfortunately, they are going to be crammed in there for a while still yet to come. My plan to dock all these three is this. We're going to switch to DSS Alpha, and we're going to get DSS Alpha in a perfect orbit, which for us is going to be 100 by 100, as equatorial as I possibly can. So with that in mind, let's set Ike as a target. Excuse me. And the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get rid of the other two in our view by selecting, right, if you look up here, you can select this other crew button here, and that'll get those two out of the way just so I can see a little bit better. If I had Kerbal Engineer on, then we wouldn't have to do this. This actually looks pretty good. It's not perfect. We'll adjust it. It's not perfect. It won't be perfect, that's why I adjusted either, but it'll be a little bit better than it is. So here we are at the descending node. I'm going to go ahead and select normal. We're going to do our inclination change first. We're going to try to get this thing in its final resting position. DSS Alpha has the least amount of fuel, so I would rather everything come to it as opposed to the other way around. So here we are coming up on the descending node. She's going to switch around and go to the normal vector, and I'm going to try to do this visually. See if I can adjust it to where those blue lines and those yellow lines match up. That is not perfect. Okay, that's very, very, very close. I think that's very, very close. Alright, next, since I'm already at my apoapsis, I'll go ahead and, let's see, periapsis of 92, so of course we're going to burn prograde. That's not high enough. And this will not take much to adjust. It shouldn't anyway. There we are, just coming up on our apoapsis. Excuse me. And small little burn here. 97, 98, 99, 110. Very cool. Same thing here. Let's warp all the way to the side of the planet, selecting our periapsis, and just adjusting that to be the same. And that is going to be what I'm going to consider for this craft a perfect orbit. I love the number 100. I think this game just likes the number 100. When people launch into space, it's pretty common for them to do kind of an equatorial orbit at 100 kilometers. I'm going to do the same thing around this planet. Do the same thing pretty often. It's just a nice round number, and it's typically out of any atmosphere, and it's just a good target number. It's easy to remember as well if I ever need to rendezvous with this thing. And I know it's in orbit at 100 around Duna. There may be reasons in the future when we would do higher or lower. And there's there would be good reasons for that, or there could be good reasons for that. So to make sure the thing is circularized, I'm going to only burn at apoapsis if possible. So I'm going to try to get a little closer. Do a couple of small burns. Ooh, 110. Did this stay at 110? No, it didn't. It went up to 165. That is well close enough for me. 110, 110. As I was going to say, 165 is that's perfectly acceptable for me. So there we go. DSS Alpha is done with her. Well, not with her mission, but with what she needs to do. Now I'm going to point her. And there's really no reason to point her anyway, really, but we're going to just point her normal for now. And we're going to move on to the next craft. So let's go back to map view, and let's highlight these guys again. Looks like the next one, what would be easier? Well, let's just go with this one. We'll go Charlie next, and we'll switch to, since Charlie is behind Alpha. Excuse me, I've had this cough I can't quite kick. I apologize for that. Since Charlie is behind Alpha, we'll have him go in a smaller orbit. I'm going to do this kind of brute force method. I'm going to do a little bit of a radial in, Where's my periapsis? What does that put my periapsis at? 89. Okay. I'm also going to set this as my target. And we're going to try to travel around the planet a little bit. My periapsis is I'm in a lower orbit than she is what I'm trying to say, so I should be catching up. But I'm also interested in doing a plane change, which is going to be right here. So here comes my descending node. Let me switch around and look for my normal vector. Of course, it's on the other side. Here we go. Now these two craft are already pretty close, so it might be a little difficult to get. It looks like I might get one on the other side of the planet, so maybe not. This normal vector will likely help with that. A normal burn. Let's get a little close to that descending node. A little closer. And let's go ahead and take off that other craft so I don't have so many things to look at. And you can see the blue line just matching up with that kind of greenish yellow line, and there they go, now they match. And then now, since I'm getting a close approach already, how far is this? 25 kilometers? Well, if that's the case, what can I do? What can I do here to make that closer? Let's see. Trying to get it separated. There we go. I was trying to get it separated off that apoapsis. So I can just select it like that. And let's see if I can. Yeah, here's something. If I go around the planet for 3.5 if I burn over here. With a periapsis of 89 and apoapsis of 103, so that's fine. I'm not going to re-enter the atmosphere. So there we go. I have to go all the way around the planet one time, or almost all the way around the planet one time, to do the burn, and then come back around and actually grab the intercept. I think partially, yes, my theory has been confirmed, because although we're catching up right now, here we go, we cross on the outside of the orbit, and she actually gains a little bit of distance on us as well. So that's why, even though it seems like we were catching up way sooner than this, there is this kind of swing of the orbit where I'm on the outside, and she keeps her distance from me. But here we go, we're about to cross back over, and then the rest of my flight path here will be catching up to her. Burn time of 0.9 seconds. I'm just going to hold it on this target, and delete this, and I'm just going to look at it kind of visually. I think it was at 3.5. If it starts going back up, I'll kill it. 3.1 is fine. I don't dare do any better than that. And then now, because I was kind of a radial inburn, it's kind of hula hooping my orbit inward to make sure that I stay inside of her orbit. Whereas, like I said before, there was a point where I crossed over her orbit. Now I'm going to make sure that I stay on the inside so that I continually catch up. That's why that normal burn kind of worked the way it did. I'm sorry, radial inburn worked the way it did. Let's go ahead and switch to target mode. Yes, we are coming up close. And most of this rendezvous will be stuff that we've already seen before. I guess the exciting part will be the fact that we're doing 3 vessels for the first time. So, alright, here we go. That is close enough for me. Let's kind of visually confirm the target. There she is, 3 kilometers away. Go ahead and start burning to kill our relative velocity in the direction of the anti-target. Okay, that's well enough. Almost killed it all the way, but of course I do need to get closer, so now let's pull that onto the target as I... Here we go. find a speed that I'm comfortable with traveling towards her. Okay, 11.6 meters a second should be well enough. Ooh, stop it. Surely my electric charge is fine. Yes, there's plenty of electric charge in this vehicle. And we're going to get closer. Okay. Let's come in a little closer. I like to actually be able to see kind of the parts of the other craft. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, let's start making some more adjustments here. Small, patient adjustments. Okay. And I will be docking these one at a time. I'm not going to get all three of them next to each other and then try to dock. There's too many factors involved in all that. Just want to do it this way. Unfortunately, we did just cross around the dark side of the planet. And although I do have lights on these craft, let's switch over here and turn hers on as well. Not something I really want to have to deal with, being dark that is. Just gonna try to actually kill it down to 0. Although this game doesn't really do well with 0. But maybe 0.1 is slow enough to where we can kind of keep our distance. Oh, evidently not. Just trying to come around the other side of the planet, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Let's see. She's kind of flying by me now, which is that's not a big deal really. It's burning as I pull around. Are we close to the other side? Not really. I really didn't want to do this in the nighttime. I am going to continue trying to just kind of kill these velocities. 2, 1. Okay. Ah, there we go. There we go. Sunrise. Alright, stop. Everybody stop. There we go. I just really didn't want to do this in the nighttime. Okay. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and make our final approach. Let's go ahead and burn directly towards her. Pulling that prograde marker over. That's fine. We're going to get it within about 100 meters of each other. Or close to 100 meters of each other. A lot of spinning around in this craft. But it's a small enough craft, it's maneuverable enough, and I have plenty of electric charge where that's just not a problem. Yeah, maybe 100's too close. I think these craft are a little bit larger than I thought. That's actually pretty good. I'm starting to see details on the ship, and there's a good reason for that. I want to actually make sure I select the individual docking ports as the targets. So with that in mind, let's take her, and let's select... Oops, let me do it this way instead. Let me do this real quick. Let me switch him around. And since I'm going to be docking the nose of this with the body of this, I'm going to put him in a normal orientation. So it's kind of straight up and down with respect to the other craft, and then I'm going to rotate it, presenting this this docking board over here. So there we go, up and down, presenting the docking port. Switch over, and I should be able to actually select that docking port. There we go, target DSS Charlie docking port. And at this point, this craft no longer needs this bottom fuel tank. In fact, it's actually going to get in the way. So I'm going to... No, actually, I take it back. I was going to fling it off, but I've actually had a better idea. Alright. Let's just stay the course. So let's go ahead and burn a little bit towards her. There we go. Let's shut off this engine, just so I don't accidentally hit it anymore. We'll do everything else with RCS now. And then there we go. I'm using WASD with the left hand, and I'm using IJKL with the right hand. Of course, I'm keeping SAS on as well. And I'm targeting just directly, moving directly at that docking port. I'm going to switch back while we're coming close, just to make sure that I'm kind of aligned like I want to be. Like that looks good. Keeping this docking port opposite that. Let's switch back. And I'm moving, yes, directly towards it. Now the only other thing to do, I'm going to turn both of these off real quick, is to actually rotate my craft, since aesthetics are somewhat important here. Let's see if maybe I can rotate in a way that's pleasing. Okay, let's turn RCS back on. As I get closer, I'm going to start pressing in, the button in, to start to slow down my craft a little bit. Oh, there we are. Yes. There we are. Docked nose on. Now the reason I said I was going to jettison this and then I decided not to is because I'm going to alt-click this and I'll click over here and go ahead and pull the remaining fuel into this craft before I jettison it. I guess there's no reason to not do that. Yes, there we go. No reason to waste that fuel, right? Now I'm going to quick save here because I'm going to do something kind of dangerous. And I don't want this to mess up. Let's see if I can rotate the craft along the equator without them flying apart. And I'm going to couple that. Just flinging it away from the craft. So we're not taking up so much... so that we're not taking up space here and that I can easily access the other vehicle. Alright. There we go. That is one half of it done. Let's go ahead and switch to DSS Bravo and see if Bravo can do the same thing. Let's go ahead and switch to. Now, Bravo is ahead of our orbit. So I'm going to try to increase his orbit. So that way Alpha, what is now I'm just going to consider Alpha, can actually catch up to us. So let's set her as a target. And let's find prograde. Actually, real quick, just to see, let's add a maneuver here. And let's see if I can get something, let's just see if I can luck out a little bit. Yeah, if I mess with it enough, I probably could. Alright. I'm gonna burn prograde here. 107, 108, okay. And let's burn over here. I mean, not burn, let's wait. So she should be catching up to us now. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. No particular number that I'm shooting for here. Just a few kilometers higher. Like, you know, between like 5 and 15 or something. So it's at 100, we know that. So there we go. So 109 and 109. So yeah, about 9 kilometers ahead of where they are. And then we are coming up on the ascending node. So we're going to take an anti-normal burn here just to adjust those inclinations as well. And then the rest of it will be mostly waiting. There we go. A little late because I'm about to pass it up, but it's really not a big deal. This anti-normal burn should actually decrease our apoapsis as well a little bit, negating some of that work we just did, but the inclination change is important enough to deal with that. Apoapsis of 109 and 109. No, okay, so we're fine. We're actually fine. Alright, and then now what I can do is, I know that since I'm in a higher orbit, it's going to be a retrograde burn to lower my orbit to actually meet up with her. So let's make a retrograde burn that puts me at 100, and then we'll just swing this around and see when that retrograde burn needs to actually happen. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit further, like almost one complete, or I'm sorry, a little bit over one complete orbit. So let's keep moving forward, and we'll test this again. And what is this? Separation 10 kilometers. All right, we'll keep moving forward. It's still it's greater than one orbit away from where we are. So now, stop it. Oh, separation 0.8. That's very. We're just gonna run into the guy. Okay, there we go. So that's where our burn is. So we'll just go ahead and do a warp over here. Select my maneuver node so that the pilot who gets paid to do this can do it for me. And yes, we're just spending all this time. The craft is slowly catching up, and I'm just going to change my orbit such that we will essentially collide. I'm ready to kick this cough. It has gotten a lot better though. And that's fine. Also, just because I like it, I'm going to flip over in that orientation. And I'm going to cancel this, because I like to actually see the thing. I'm burning just the smallest amount you can burn at this point. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pow. Good enough for me. 0.9. It's almost too close. Quick save right here. And just see if I can warp over there. Wink. Go ahead and select my target. It's already selected. Let's see if I can find the target visually. It should be on the inside of the planet, so let's see. There she is. And we should also be doing this in the sunshine too, which is important. At least partially. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so same thing as before. Let's make our adjustments. Let's start heading a little nearer towards her. In fact, I could have just waited, since again we have like a 0.8 kilometer intercept. I could just wait until I get closer, but if you wait until you get closer, then you have less control over, because your craft is just kind of heading there however it was heading there. Whereas if I start making the adjustments now, at least I have control over the ship, and I know kind of how far off these vectors are from their respective target nodes. So even though I had a 0.8 intercept, I'm still going to wait until we're a good distance out to start performing these kind of burns. Okay. Here. Alright. There we go. We are still moving in at 4 meters a second. So let's kill that. We're getting close to 100 kilometers away, so I definitely want to start killing that speed a little bit. In fact, I want to kind of try to kill it almost completely, so I have time to do a couple things that I want to take care of. Oh, I did actually go 0 meters a second. That's rare. You don't actually get to see that very often. Alright, so I'm going to select... Well, I'm going to switch to this target. And I'm going to select control from here. Alright. And this guy doesn't have a target, so let's give him one. Where was it? There she is. There we go, select Bravo. Go ahead and point at the target. And we're controlling from that docking port. So whatever this should be the docking port pointing directly at the target. Now unfortunately right now, it's pointing at the target, which could be just the craft itself, not necessarily a docking port. As I get a little closer, I can see if I can actually get the docking port itself. Oops, wrong button. So now we are facing, we are aligned. Let's go ahead and point this guy at target as well. Can I control from here? So there we go, control from this docking port as well. Okay. And now I should be able to use Q and E to rotate to where they are both aligned. I can kind of visually align this craft with that rear craft. And then now that I'm presenting the correct docking port, I should... It's still a little too far away for me to actually grab that docking port. Yeah, I can't quite get it. But from here I should, let's see, I'll shut off this engine. RCS. And start moving towards that craft. Notice I'm moving a little bit on top of that target, so I can kind of naturally bring that my orientation onto the center of that thing. Alright, let's go ahead and slow this down. Okay, turn off RCS so it doesn't make any more adjustments. And again, I'm going to try to actually select that docking port. You can see highlighting in green when it happens. In fact, I think it's already selected. I think we're actually good. So let's go ahead and have them hold authority directly on that target, which for some reason she's not doing right now. Let's see if I can do it again. Control from here. No, she says she's doing it, but it doesn't look like she's doing it. Interesting. It's holding it like below that target. That's really interesting. I'm going to turn SAS off on this vehicle. I don't know why it's doing that. And manually put it there. Alright. Again, let's kind of visually see if we can rotate these things before we get too much closer. I don't want to have to think about too many things at once, so if I can get this rotation right now, that would be better. That would be ideal. They don't have to be perfect, but it would be nice if they were. Alright, and I think I am ready to start making our approach. A lot of buttons to press here. Not going to be doing too much talking. If you've done this before, you'll know it can be very confusing. Go ahead and turn our lights on as well. That's what I should have done earlier. Okay. This guy has rotated away. Oh, I guess it's because the SAS was off. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so I need to keep it on, even though it's not actually targeting what I want it to target. Yeah, it's targeting below. That's really, really interesting, and I don't know why that is. and I don't like it. Let's control from here instead. I wonder if that fixes that problem. Since these things are in line, can I control from here? Select target. Let's select something else and then select target again. In fact, let's just do this. Huh. Okay, I'll just turn stability assist on, keep SAS on, and then manually point it at it. That's actually kind of what I meant to do a minute ago. So it'll hold that orientation, but will not actually try to hold the target, because if it holds the target, it's wrong. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the thing is moving. Set that as my target. Let's turn that off. And make our adjustments. See, now I've kind of spent too much time passing by. So I'm going to back up just a hair. Try to back away from the craft real quick and then do it again. Just because I had to readjust that other ship, and it was giving me a hard time. Okay. Kill our relative velocity. Turn off that. Set as target. Oh. It's still doing it. It's still not pointing this on that. That is really weird, and I wonder why that is. Am I controlling from here like I meant to? Huh. Okay, so you can't trust this. This hasn't done this before. You can't trust this to do that. I'll just have to do it manually. So hold that real quick while I point over here. Make sure you point them at each other. And they just have SAS on. They're not selecting the target, or they're not holding the target specifically. They're just pointing at each other. Okay. Now they are pointing at each other again, or near enough. Now I should be able to do that and actually start get these right. I apologize, it's just taking a little bit of concentration. Okay. There, I'm gonna leave that well enough alone and readjust. I'm gonna have to just kind of readjust these constantly, it looks like, to make sure that they're just pointing at each other just the right way. Hold what you got. You hold what you have. Everything's looking like it's working. Let's add a little bit of rotation in there. Just go back and forth. Mate. Oy. Yeah, so interesting thing. I don't really know exactly why that happened. I don't know. I don't know why when you select a target it was pointing kind of below the target. That was interesting, and that caused me some consternation. But at any rate, we do now have a completed space station. Let's see if the action group works here. If I press 1, okay, these go out, but these do not. I do not have these assigned to an action group. Let's go ahead and extend all these solar panels, make it look a little bit more space station-y. Likewise, go away. Likewise, I can rotate this thing in some more pleasant orientation, like towards the sun would be nice. There we go. You gotta be careful with these space stations because they will kind of flex on you. Excuse me. And deploy the scanner. I don't have really too many things to deploy, unfortunately. It would be cool if this thing was like, you know, unfolded itself, but it does not. So at any rate, there we go. The lights should all be on. And yeah, there we go. That is our Duna Space Station, the DSS. Nothing magnificent about it, but certainly pretty cool in my mind. To me, the important thing is like how we actually got it here. I think is very cool. Launching all 3 of them at a time, having them follow each other, and then just do everything one right after the other. That is pretty neat. Of course, that's kind of how you do things whenever you're going to whenever you're doing this around Kerbal, but to actually do it around Duna is pretty neat as well. So the next thing we need to do is actually come up here and save these guys. At any rate, I did kind of future-proof this a little bit. Here's an engine here, and of course an engine here, just in case we need to move this thing like drastically. I don't think we should. We have docking ports on the top, so more things can attach to the top of it, and we also have docking ports here, and there should be one on the other side as well. Yes, we have one here as well. So we do have, this is kind of future-proofed a little bit to where we can add more things to it as necessary. Likewise, these will be the places where other craft will come and take people to and from, and actually ferry people to and from. So one of the plans that I have for this thing, kind of zoom around the planet so we can see it in the daylight. One of the plans that I have for the DSS is I want to make a surface outpost on Duna that collects ore and converts it to fuel, and then I want to have a ferry that goes back and forth. There's my landing zone right there. Have a ferry that goes back and forth, comes down, collects the fuel, and then hops up, flies into here, and then gives it to the DSS and fills these big tanks full of fuel. How much total fuel do we have here? We have capacity for 5,760 liquid fuel. Now, if you remember, we have a mission from way a long time ago. The only thing we haven't done yet is to have 6,000 units of liquid fuel in your station. So, if I had a craft that came down here, fueled up, and then brought it to the station, I would actually satisfy this requirement. But likewise, I would also be able to use this as an in-space fueling station for other ships. And this thing would constantly be refueled because we'd be producing the fuel on Duna. That's, I think, what next mission is, to build a surface outpost and then a little a ferry. My idea for that, which we'll talk more about in the future, is to have a stationary outpost that actually does the drilling and converting, and then we'll have a buggy that will connect to the outpost and fill up with fuel, but it'll be able to drive around on Duna. So all I'll have to do is take a craft and land it just anywhere kind of in the vicinity. Land it, and then the little buggy will actually drive over, fill it up, and then go back. So I don't have to worry about landing too close to the site. I can just kind of land it anywhere within reason and have the buggy drive around and fill it up and bring it back. And then, of course, that will come up and rendezvous with the space station, which that's relatively easy. So there we go. The end of the 3-part episode. We have more things to do. I'm not going to do it this episode. Probably do it at the beginning of next one. We'll actually grab science from space, and we'll scan the surface, and we'll start producing things, producing science in the laboratories themselves. But at any rate, there we go. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's not the most remarkable thing ever. It's just a big H. But I'm proud of it, and I think it's pretty cool looking. And hopefully it taught you something along the way of how to actually do this kind of thing. So while I'm giving my outro, I will go to the tracking station, and I'll rename it because it probably has DSS Alpha as the name. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. It took me a long time to actually record this because of our... I didn't talk about what the problems were. Yeah, it's called DSS Charlie. I don't want it to be called DSS Charlie. Let's just call it the DSS. There we go. Doing the space station. Also, I named the other things that we have too. All of our satellites are now called Echo. and they have a little name after them to describe where they are. And then the Kerbal Space Station is just KSS Beta, because we will be doing our own Kerbal Space Station in the future. That will be the KSS Alpha, but right now we have the DSS. Anyway, real quick before we get off, the problem that I had to redo this entire series because of, well, there were two. One was bigger than the other. The smaller problem was that I forgot to put a decoupler on this right here. So I think it was this one. It may have been this one. I forgot to put a decoupler right here. So after this part, we have the interstage. There was another fuel tank and another engine down here that wouldn't decouple. So essentially I had to, but you can't transfer fuel through here. So I had to use the bottommost engine and just carry all of this dead weight with me the entire mission. Which again wasn't a big deal because it was in the budget, but it looked stupid and it was annoying, and it was just a blunder on my part. And then the second, more important error that I made was that these docking ports, for some reason, were on backwards. They had gotten reversed and were actually flipped around the wrong way, and so nothing would dock with them. So the way that I solved it at the time was, since I came in with extra docking ports on the top, I connected them all in line. So this capsule connected to this capsule, and this one connected to this one, and the whole thing was just like this big long space station, and it just looked ridiculous. It was stupid. At the end of this whole mission, I was just so embarrassed by it that I had to get rid of it. I had to say, no, I can do better. Even if it takes up more of my own personal recording time, I just had to redo it. So don't put your docking ports on backwards. I really have no idea how I did that, and I just deleted the footage. I was so frustrated, I just deleted the footage, so I can't even go back and watch how I did it. But yeah, one way or the other, I put the docking ports on wrong way around, and completely screwed up the mission. So, cautionary tale for you guys. Anyway, thanks you guys so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what you see, and give me some suggestions as to what the next big project should be, and I would love to do it. Other than that, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday.